Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name's Luke, and I am honored to be joined by the winner of the main event at 247 Fighting Championships, Flood City Fight Night 2, Julian Flenory-Mazur. Julian, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Luke. How you doing?
It's incredible having you on the show. The last time I interviewed you, it was right after your 19-second knockout, something like that. It was a quick knockout in your second to last fight. And I got to interview you at Fight Night, which was pretty exciting. And now I'm interviewing you after a main event, 9-second knockout for Flood City Fight Night 2. You can watch the entire fight for anybody who hasn't seen it on any of the social media because it's only 9 seconds. But before we talk about the fight, you are 3-0 going into this fight, all knockouts, 2 of them in the first round, 1 of them in the second round, and you get the main event at Flood City. Let's talk about that real quick. What was it like to be put in the main event? It was your first advanced amateur fight, 3 free minutes for 9 minutes. That affects training. Obviously, the fight was over in 9 seconds, but talk about the training. Talk about what it was like to take a main event, and how did that all feel building up to that?
Honestly, leading up to it, I tried not to put too much thought into being the main event. I know it's a big deal, and I was honored being the selected fight to be in that position. So I wanted to perform, obviously, and I knew going last, it's a lot different, a big difference because, for example, on the last card, I was actually the card opener. So I know, like, it's very polar opposites there. So as far as with the training and stuff, I mean, training, it stays the same. It stays hard. It's constant. I mean, we're having 4-man groups going hard just about every single session, learning new stuff, just getting into better shape and stuff like that. So as far as leading into the fight, nothing too much changed. It was just me sharpening the sword, getting better, and just getting my skills better and getting my confidence ready to be able to put on a performance that I did.
And then day of the fight, you're out there in Johnstown. What was it like making that walk, being the last fight with that buildup? Did it feel different as far as the buildup goes with the anticipation and waiting versus being the curtain jerker, as they say, in the last fight to being the last? What was that like day of? You had some you had some teammates fight from the Mat Factory. So how did all that go prior to your walk?
Well, I really am emotionally invested in my teammates. So like watching them win, lose, whatever the decision may be, always it plays a part on me for sure. But once it's my time to really zone in, I mean, it kind of all goes out the window now. I got to focus on myself and really dial in. But it was really nice being last, having the energy of the crowd there, and also having, as you saw, like on the walkout, all of my teammates come in behind me, all of my coaches and stuff. So it was a really supportive moment. So it didn't feel too different. Like I said, like in the moment, I just look at it as a fight. I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference if it was the first or the last event, because I'm tunnel vision. As soon as I'm making that walk, I know what I have to get in there. I know when the cage door closes, it doesn't matter where you're about slated. You have another person in front of you and you're about to dole it out to see who's victorious. So I try to look at it as that when I'm getting into the cage.
Well, that's a great mindset, that focus, that your fight is in front of you, your opponent's in front of you. Speaking of your opponent, Sheldon Nyoff was your opponent. Main event, there it is. 9 seconds, you guys didn't touch gloves. You came right out, right into the action. Kind of walk us through your perspective. 9 seconds from a fan seems like blink and you miss it, but from a fighter, there's still a lot that happens in those 9 seconds. So what was that like for you? And obviously the result was great, but walk us through the fight from your perspective.
It was fun. I mean, we got out there and, there wasn't a feeling out process. I personally am not one to like the feeling out process, especially with me being a shorter fighter. Like you mentioned, like the glove touch and just all of this, like the feeling out, it doesn't necessarily work to my advantage. I want to get close to my opponent regardless of who it is. And if that's with striking to set up the big shots, that's been working for me, then I'll go with that. Or if that's to set up grappling, then I'm so close that I can level change and get underneath hips and go for there. but with the fight, it was just nice to, yeah, it was nice. We got out there, got right to business. He actually hit me with a jab, got me with a nice low kick, and that like stopped me in my tracks a little bit. I had to posture up, and then we just got into the exchanges, and I was on the better end of that because could have gone either way. When you're in the pocket swinging like that, you know what I mean? You're just kind of, I was forward pressure, so I knew I had him on his back foot, so I had more power there. But when you're just letting it go, you're just really, you're seeing it, and it's just happening so fast that like when the exchanges would stop, you know, you gain composure, maybe circle out or whatever it is, back up and get back to the game plan. But when it works like that, it's over so quick that it's almost like it is from a fan's perspective. I mean, you're just in the driver's seat. It's quick, you know what I mean? You're going in there and 9 seconds, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it goes pretty quick, I'm sure. You were able, you had him from the replay, might have looked different for you, but you had him pretty much out when he was going down, face down. He used a little bit of ground and pound. You obviously didn't get to use ground and pound in the sense of top control or side control or mount. How excited are you in the future with the rules being the way they are, with your experience being what it is, to eventually be able to use a ground and pound when it comes to you in a fight in the future?
Yeah, I really like, I've talked to Ryan, I've talked to Hunter, like we've spoke about it before as well. It's my grappling is probably my strong suit. My jujitsu, I mean, it's what I'm at the Matt Factory Wrestling Club. I mean, I'm wrestling, I'm doing jujitsu, like that's what I do. I don't get me wrong, I like to slug it out and the results have gone in my favor. But if there's going to be someone who might better eat some of those, or someone who be a little more composed, a bigger cage, whatever it may be, to where I have to go to the grappling, I'm fully confident in that. I love to wrestle. I love to attack for submissions. And then I also do love the idea of ground and pound. I like controlling people with my hips and being able to, from a grappling standpoint, being able to just feel their pressure. And then advanced AMI, you know, there's the punches wherever it may go, but then you get to the pro level, there's the elbows, and when you can really hold someone down and just post elbow, like that's something I'm really excited for in the future, because I think that that's something that really fits my strong suit of style, being a short, stockier, more wrestler built, and that's my style. Once I get on top of, if I get on top of someone, it's going to be very hard for them to get me off of them.
Well, you brought up a couple of things I want to comment on. First, you are prototypically kind of the same rough body shape as one of the best heavyweight and light heavyweight fighters of all times, former A recently. And I mean, you're a very similar build. It doesn't mean necessarily that you're a former Olympian or things like that, but the reality is that style of heavyweight fighter can work and has worked at the highest of high levels. And DC is probably the greatest to do it at both heavyweight and light heavyweight. So I think you being aware of being really powerful through the hips, powerful, explosive wrestler. A lot of wrestlers tend to be the thick, heavy, short to the ground at whatever weight class, because there's an advantage to get low, to explode up. We've seen him ragdoll guys incredibly bigger than he is, because he's been able to get them up and spin them and stuff like that. But you talked about elbows. And most people, when they think elbows and ground and pound, they think the huge posture up elbows from mount, which are still devastating. But you were talking about post elbows. For people that don't know, this is maybe an 8-inch elbow where you put your hand on somebody's head or face, turn them to the side, and then drop back, drop back. Talk a little bit about why you like what I'm going to call sort of a precision attack with an elbow in the future, in the pro level, other than sort of a huge open, powerful, but a lot easier to buck and roll out. That's one of the things people train on the bottom.
Right.
So why do you think you're drawn to more precision type techniques?
Because I know that when we're standing in the pocket, you know, I can get a little wild with the stance, and I like to throw the power. But I do know that when it gets to the ground, I want to use as minimal energy as possible, So I want to be able to suffocate them. And then with the post elbows comes with, you're not, like you said, you're not getting yourself up to where they can hip bump you. More flexible, long guys can get their legs around your arms, around your upper body, around your torso. There's just lots of different ways, and they can start to get knee slides if you're in mount or depending on where you are. There's just lots of ways where you're just relieving so much top body pressure. And the thing with heavyweights is that they have strong hips, of course, but obviously strong torso. They can bench press people off of you. So you don't necessarily just want to, you have to alleviate the pressure both on the top and bottom and make sure it's even, because you don't want to, like you said, go up and have those wild elbows. And yes, they can finish the fight. And there's a time and place for those too. If there's an opening for them, then of course, those are the ones that are going to put someone out cold. But from a controlling standpoint, ground and pound, those are ones that are going to open someone up, eventually lead to a choke, a submission, or even a couple post elbows will allow you to get those big elbows to get those devastating finishes.
That's a very detailed response. I appreciate the walkthrough of that. It also shows, and you just said it a little bit ago, as dangerous as you are, the last 3 fights is not even a full minute. I did the math. Pretty impressive. As dangerous as you are in sort of that throwing for power, you recognize that you also have to, particularly on the ground, go into the chess game, the mind, the jiu-jitsu being the real inches. Inches matter in grappling. It's really smart to also point out that a lot of heavyweights are benching up over your body weight. You know, a lot of heavyweights bench 250, 275, 300 or more. So therefore, you also have to put that into your technique, that they do have raw power. Have you seen some video of Derrick Lewis doing everything wrong in how to get up, but still getting up?
Exactly. And that's the worst position that you want to be in, is someone that's like, he just like pushes world-class grapplers off of him. And you're just like, that's not supposed to work. But they're at the heavyweight weight class, like there are freaks of nature where you can have proper technique. But if you just happen to, you know, do something just a little bit, that guy can just push you straight off of you.
Well, I mean, that's kind of a funny thing. He obviously has hit sort of the level, you know, being in title fights. There's always somebody in the heavyweight division better than him so far. He's a great entertainer, great fighter, and has a lot of skills. But he has definitely shown that even with somebody who doesn't have the technique, if they give him separation, he's able to just get up. Where do you want to go from here? I'm not talking about predicting the future in a title or pro or becoming UFC champ. Hopefully all that stuff happens to you in the future. But as far as what you want to see build and add onto your game moving forward.
Moving forward, I just want to continue to grow as a martial artist, because first and foremost, I mean, I love what I do in the cage, but I do love martial arts overall. It's a very beautiful sport, be a very beautiful art, just something to learn. And just as I grow and mature as an adult, so I want to continue to gain my skills. I mean, I've said it before and I'll keep saying it, like black belt that's like one of the highest honors that I can have in my entire martial arts journey. Continue working, sharpening my jiu-jitsu skills, getting better with wrestling, of course. That's a never-ending battle there. Cleaning up the striking, of course. I mean, getting knockouts in the forms not nearly as tight as I personally would like it to be. I mean, I train for my striking to be much crisper, tighter, look more clean. But sometimes when the adrenaline's pumping, you know, the arms get a little loose, get a little wild. And that's not a bad thing when I'm getting finishes the way I am. But I know that at the higher levels that I have to be more composed, more technical, jab down the middle, 1-2s. And that's stuff that I know and stuff that I work on, but stuff that I just want to continue to build on.
Your answers are spectacular, almost better than your knockouts, and your knockouts are spectacular. The fact that you're the whole package, you've got the raw aggression, the physical talent to knock guys out in seconds, and also the humility and the training. The Mad Factory is one of the greatest gyms, not just Pittsburgh-based gyms, but gyms out there as far as all levels go. but the fact that you have the knowledge and awareness, I've seen too many amateurs or early pros think if it works for them then, that it'll work forever. And you're kind of saying, hey, you've got to mature, you've got to learn when you're in the pocket to do things a little differently over time. You've seen people, I don't know if you know Nick Brown, he's a local fighter and he's in now. He's 25 fights into his pro career. Things look different when you're 25 fights into your pro career. So it's just incredible to hear you have that technique. Just so that I know, where are you currently in the belt rank for BJJ? You mentioned black belt being like a lifetime honor in the future.
I am currently, I'm a purple belt.
Okay.
Working towards the brown.
So it makes sense. I mean, obviously, I would think a white belt would still eventually want to get to a black belt, but the fact that you're at purple and you've already sort of started to develop that mastery, you know, brown is really starting to find your own style, and then black is above that. So obviously, it's incredible to see you have this mindset that although you're setting the, you know, social media on fire with your knockouts, you know that jiu-jitsu is really sort of how you can develop even more. It's been an honor having you on the show and really seeing the intensity, not only in your physical fight, but also in your mind. And your mind's our strongest weapon that we'll ever have. So it's been an honor. Can't wait to see what happens for you in the future. And hats off to you and everybody at the Mat Factory, the coaches, the trainers, the fighters. It's an incredible gym for anybody that's looking for MMA. Thanks again, Julian.
Thank you, Luke.
Congrats again.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a nice one.
You got it. Take care, brother. All right. Bye-bye.